There is a real disease on this planet that has no cure. As unbelievable as it sounds, eating a human does something permanent to your brain. Not one, not even a little bit of one. No pills can stop it. No surgery can remove it. No doctor on earth, no matter how smart, can fix what it does once it begins. And here's the part that will really mess with your head. This disease does not come from a virus. It does not come from a bacteria. It comes from something so small and so strange that scientists refuse to believe it for years. Once it enters your brain, it never turns off. It never slows down. It never gives you a second chance. It just keeps going, quietly, in the dark, until there is nothing left to save. And the strangest part of all, scientists only discovered this disease because of something one small tribe hidden deep in the mountains used to do to their own family members. Something done out of love, something done to say goodbye, and it became one of the deadliest secrets in medical history. Now here's where it gets even stranger. A brand new movie shows us this exact horror on screen right now, and it never even says the word out loud. The movie is called Bones and All. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that movie was really showing you the whole time, and I promise you, you will never watch it the same way again. So stay with me, because this story is about to get very, very real. Now that you know something strange is coming, let's actually meet the two people at the center of it, who are Maren and Lee. Bones and All came out in 2022. It was directed by a filmmaker named Luca Guadagnino, and it stars Timothée Chalamet and Taylor Russell. The movie follows two young people, Maren and Lee. On the outside, they look completely normal, but both of them share something they can't control: a hunger. Not for food like you and me, a hunger for other people. They travel across America together, trying to survive, trying to hide what they are, and trying to understand why they were born this way. They meet others like them along the road, each one carrying the same secret in a different way, and each one showing Maren a different version of the life she might grow into. It sounds like pure fiction, a scary story made up for the screen, but here is the twist nobody talks about. Before we go further, if this kind of real science hiding inside movies is something your brain loves, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we cover a brand new hidden science story every single week, and you do not want to miss the next one. So let's talk about the title itself, because it is not just a scary phrase, it is a clue. The title is the clue. Bones and All means eating a person completely. Nothing left behind, not even the bones. That detail feels like it's just there for shock value. It is not. In the real world, that exact behavior, eating a person's whole body, is the precise trigger for one of the most terrifying diseases ever recorded in human history. It has a name. It is called Kuru, and what it does to the human brain is almost impossible to believe. Let's go back in time to the place where doctors first discovered it. The village where it were it all began in the 1950s in the mountains of Papua New Guinea. Doctors noticed something horrifying happening inside one community called the Fore people. People, mostly women and children, started shaking uncontrollably. Then they lost the ability to walk. Then they lost the ability to speak. Then, without fail, every single person who got it died. The local name for this shaking sickness was Kuru, which means to shake or to tremble. Doctors were confused for years. It didn't spread like a cold. It didn't spread through the air. Nobody was coughing on anybody else. So how was an entire village getting sick from the exact same disease generation after generation? A scientist named Daniel Carlton Gostus traveled to the region to study it up close. It took years of careful work, but eventually the answer became clear, and it was connected to a funeral tradition. When a loved one passed away, some members of the community would consume parts of the body as a way of honoring them and keeping them close forever. It was an act of love and grief, not violence. But without knowing it, they were passing the disease from one generation to the next. Every meal meant to say goodbye was quietly planting the same deadly seed in a new person. Gostus would later win a Nobel Prize for uncovering this connection, and it remains one of the strangest medical detective stories ever solved. Now here is where the real science kicks in, and this is the part that actually broke medical science as we knew it. The thing that isn't alive, but attacks anyway. Every disease you've ever heard of is caused by something alive: a virus, bacteria, a parasite. Kuru is different. Kuru is not caused by a living thing at all. It's caused by something called a prion. A prion is simply a protein, a normal building block found inside your own brain that is folded into the wrong shape. Here's the part that sounds like science fiction but is completely true. When one misfolded prion touches a normal, correctly shaped protein, it forces that protein to twist into the same wrong shape. That new misfolded protein then does the same thing to the next one, and the next, and the next. It's like a single wrong domino that never stops knocking down every other domino it touches, forever. Imagine one drop of ink falling into a glass of clean water. It doesn't just sit there quietly. It spreads and spreads and spreads until the entire glass is changed. A prion works the same way, except the glass is your brain, and once it starts, nothing can pull the ink back out. This is also why prion disease is one of the only illnesses in the world that has an incubation period measured in years, sometimes even decades. A person can carry a misfolding protein quietly inside their brain for 10, 20, or even 30 years, feeling completely normal, with absolutely no symptoms at all, while the slow chain reaction is already underway in the background. You cannot kill a prion because it was never alive. Antibiotics do nothing. Antiviral medicine does nothing. Even extreme heat cannot destroy it. Once this chain reaction starts inside a brain, nothing on Earth has ever been able to stop it. If your brain is doing that thing right now, where it just quietly whispers, "Wait, what?" then good. That means you're paying attention. Let's keep going. Drop a comment below and tell me the exact moment this video freaked you out the most. I read every single one. So what does this chain reaction actually do to a real, living brain? A brain turned into a sponge. As the misfolded proteins spread, they physically destroy brain tissue. Under a microscope, doctors saw something they had never seen before. The brain tissue was full of tiny holes, almost like a sponge. That's actually why doctors call this entire family of diseases Spongiform encephalopathies. It simply means the brain has turned spongy. Every single case of Kuru, without exception, ended in death. There has never been a survivor, not one, in the entire history of this disease. For decades, that was the end of the story. A disease with zero hope and zero cure. But something changed, and it changed very recently. The first treatment in human history. In 2025, doctors at UCSF, a major medical research hospital in California, began the very first human clinical trial ever attempted for a prion disease. The treatment uses something called an antisense oligonucleotide. In simple words, it's a tiny designed molecule that tells the body to stop producing the very protein that turns into a prion in the first place. This is the first time in recorded history that doctors have had any real tool to fight back against this disease while a patient is still alive. It doesn't undo damage that has already happened, but for the first time ever, there's a chance to stop the chain reaction before it spreads further. Now for the ending. And honestly, this is the part that changes everything you just learned. The people who became immune. Remember the Fore people, the community where Kuru was first discovered? In 2024, scientists studying their descendants found something remarkable. Some of them carry a genetic mutation called V127G. This mutation gives them complete natural protection against prion disease. Their ancestors lived through the epidemic. Generation after generation was exposed to this deadly, incurable disease. And through survival, evolution quietly built a defense. Today, their descendants are the only people on Earth known to carry full immunity to this entire category of disease. The very tradition that once caused the epidemic is also, unintentionally, the reason a small group of humans now carries a genetic shield that nobody else on the planet has. Think about that for a second. This isn't a superhero story. This isn't science fiction. This is real human evolution caught in the act, happening within just a few generations, all because of one community's darkest chapter. The people who suffered the most from Kuru are, today, biologically stronger against it than any other human being alive. Pain turned into protection. Tragedy turned into evolution. That's the part that stays with you long after the movie ends. And here's something worth sitting with. Right now, somewhere in a hospital room in California, a patient is receiving a treatment that simply did not exist a few years ago, aimed at a disease that used to be an automatic death sentence with zero exceptions. That single fact alone is one of the quietest, biggest medical stories of this decade, and almost nobody outside of science circles has even heard about it yet. So next time you watch Bones and All, remember this. Underneath the story of two people who can't control their hunger, there's a real disease, a real village, a real 2025 clinical trial, and a real group of humans walking around today with a biological superpower born from tragedy. If this story blew your mind, smash that like button and share it with one person who needs to hear this today. And subscribe, because next week's hidden science story is even stranger than this one. I'll see you in the next video.